You must remember that summer in 91. GNR's huge.
Oh, yeah.
But they were canceling. I told a story this week about my roommate buying tickets through the classifieds of the London Free Press for a $30 face value ticket to go see GNR at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Paid $180 to them. They canceled the show, so now he's only left with $30. He'll never find that guy again.
All I remember is going back to 1987. My brother brought home Appetite for Destruction. I was, going into his bedroom to listen, and then for me, when November Rain came out, and I first heard it when Tarzan Dan was on the radio. Holy smokes. It was just an opera of a song. I was 11 years old. I couldn't stop listening to it. November Rain. I can't wait to hear it live.
Don't Cry.
The video
Rise,
is incredible.
November Rain is Strange was like a trilogy of videos.
Slash
of all
in front of the chapel.
Who killed Stephanie Seymour? What happened there?
I don't know. But next year is going to be great.
We need a cold case of some sort to figure that out. You've written a letter. Your group, Integrity CEO, you're the executive director of Integrity CEO. We'll talk a little bit about your event last week that I, in full disclosure, emceed. I enjoyed myself there. It went really well. But you've written a letter to the health minister of the province. So a lot of the time, you're banging on about things in the city itself, and you haven't sort of branched out and addressed some elements of provincial politics. You kind of are here, if that's fair to say. What's the message to the health minister, Sylvia Jones?
Yeah, well, at the municipal level, we still have a symbiotic relationship with the province, and we can't always operate completely in a silo. We have to have a good relationship with the province. And what motivated me to write this letter was Adam Zivo's excellent article in the National Post entitled "Ontario is the Wild, Wild West of Safer Supply," part of the harm reduction matrix, if you will. And I was shocked and appalled after reading his article that people are exploiting this system. They are profiteering from this system of quote unquote harm reduction. Predatory doctors are prescribing opioids through a screen in a pharmacist to addicts. And so a lot of this, because, the health ministry, health is part of the provincial portfolio, I felt the need to write an open letter to Minister Sylvia Jones, kind of saying like, look, this is not tenable. Something's got to give. This harm reduction stuff is hurting communities.
So you'd be rather critical of the Ford government's inaction on this, especially, Daniel, when we've seen in British Columbia, NDP Premier David Eby has said, I'm out on this. And we gave it a chance. I had an open mind. A lot of us did a decade ago. And we are just not seeing this. We're seeing a rise of crime. Activists are involved, drug users are involved. And then in Manitoba, you're seeing another NDP premier. We've only got two of them, and they've both been so outspoken. And his star is rising because he's talking about, well, we have to put the safety of the public first. We can't, we're thinking about even mandatory treatment for people that are struggling mightily with drug addiction. Ontario's got a conservative government, and they're doing neither of those things.
Yeah, that speaks volumes when NDPers are typically sympathetic to these types of ideas of harm reduction. So when you have the premier of Manitoba even coming out and saying something's got to change, that's how you know we're in a dire situation. To Premier Ford's credit, he has pulled funding for several safe injection sites that were causing misery.
There's a transition to hard hubs where there's actual treatment and counseling, and they keep people there.
Right. So there is some good movement in the right direction. I don't think it's enough movement. And so the letter that I sent to Sylvia Jones was like, okay, we got to step on the gas here, because look, I was at Union Station a couple weeks ago, and it was horrific what I saw. People completely incoherent, high as a kite. I posted this video to Instagram. It got 300,000 views, and people can't believe it.
Am I right? This involves a shirtless guy outside.
The shirtless guy. It went viral, and these people are just like, it's not working. Harm reduction is not working. It's anybody who has eyes and ears and a nose can see it is not working, and something needs to change. Daniel
Tate's our guest from Integrity. I brought this up even a couple days ago. Obviously, this is terribly confusing, this Thorncliffe Park fire that has all these residents out of their apartment now for the better part of a week. I made the point, if they all said, hey, you know what? Thanks for your offers of help. We're all going to go live in tents in the parks. The city would stop them, because they're people of means, and they're people with jobs, and they're people that are sort of deemed by the city as pluses instead of minuses. I want everybody to be judged the same way and go, if you're in some kind of trouble, we need to pick you up and help you. Even Wab Canoe is saying, if you are like out of it with meth addiction, we're going to haul, if we judge that, we're going to haul you in for 3 days and give you everything you need, a hot shower, a bed, you'll have someone to talk to, but we're going to detox you for those 3 days. That's the NDP premier saying this is what I want to do.
The problem is, and I'm convinced of this, there's an opiate industrial complex at play. Pharmacies and predatory doctors are enriching themselves by basically becoming pill mills to addicts. They are invoicing the province egregious amounts of money. There are companies and people who are getting rich off Narcan, because every time you hand out Narcan to anybody, you can invoice the province for $90. Okay, so there's a financial interest to keep all this going. Right. Then the other problem is a lot of the harm reduction paraphernalia and supplies that the City of Toronto buys is actually from the province through what's called the Ontario Harm Reduction Distribution Program. So, and this is a shocking stat, and this is true, the City of Toronto has procured millions of glass meth pipes and crack pipes over the last 4 or 5 years. Millions. And who are they buying a lot of it from? The province through this OH distribution.
And there's a
program.
manufacturer, am I right, down in London, Ontario,
in Cambridge,
making the
Ontario,
pipes?
Pegasus
Okay.
Glass. I reached out to them. I said, your products are facilitating utter human misery on the streets of Toronto. Are you okay with profiting off selling meth pipes? And they responded, we believe in harm reduction. It is helping communities. I was aghast. So we need to shine a light on who is benefiting and profiteering from the harm reduction industry that is currently at play.
Daniel Tate's with us, Integrity TO's CEO and executive director. Do you look and say, I'm hopeful the harm reduction issue will be a big issue come election time? I think we just had a federal election, a provincial election breeze by, and it felt like it was all about Trump, tariffs, etc., and a lot of hardcore issues, especially involving healthcare provincially, I thought just fell by the wayside. I hope this is something we're talking about, because I think everything to do with the economy, with people's mental health, with parks, I think it's all a lot of it's interconnected to safe supply and the opioid crisis that we have.
Yes, it's absolutely interconnected, and at the municipal level, it's really about the reality outside your front door. You leave your house, you get in your car, you take the bus. What do you see on the streets, in the parks, on the sidewalks? And what we see right now is a drug crisis that is being fueled by governments, being fueled by illicit illegal activities, and nothing substantive is being done to fix it. And that drug crisis is fueling so many other issues like homelessness, like general disorder on the streets, unsafe parks. And kids are seeing this kind of stuff, and it's horrific, and everyone sees it. And so I think this is going to be a major election issue next year. And whoever runs, whether it's for council or mayor, if they can be strong on this topic and say, it's like the Einstein theory of insanity. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
Well, it is, but some of what you're asking, and I think this is why the letter goes to Sylvia Jones, the Minister of Health, some of this is, as Adam noted, is provincial jurisdiction. Yes. So you really we're going to have the same premier a year from now and he's got quite a mandate.
Right.
You really need the provincial government, or maybe, if you're lucky, the provincial Liberals to put some pressure. I have no idea why they aren't more outspoken on this issue. This is a winning issue for them.
It's a winning issue. It's a bipartisan issue. And you need very strong vocal advocates at the city level who can work with the provincial counterparts to make the changes we need. We don't have that right now because Olivia Chow and Chris Moyse and several of the progressives in city council, they fully are drinking the Kool-Aid of harm reduction. So they're not going to push the province. They're going to be like, oh, stat quo is great. It's not great. We see it in our parks. We see it in our streets every day. Something's got to change. And let's look to BC. Let's look to Manitoba. And if they're doing it, we got to do it.
Brad Bradford's running for mayor. Has he been outspoken on harm reduction policy so far to your liking?
Not enough to my liking, no. He has started to speak more vocal about it. He had the motion last month to, this is part of the encampment.
It got watered down, but it's the encampment separation geographically from parks and playgrounds and schools, etc.
We cannot separate the issue of the drug crisis and harm reduction and all that stuff with homelessness and encampments. They're part and parcel of the same issue. The homelessness crisis is fueled by the drug crisis. That's why we can't just handing out free homes to everybody is not going to solve the issue, because if you're addicted to fentanyl and you can't even tie your own shoes or lift up your pants, you're still going to be addicted to fentanyl even if the government gives you a free apartment. And your apartment's going to probably turn into a drug den.
This is the amazing thing. Every time we have a missing person, somebody leaves their house because they're struggling or they have Alzheimer's or something like that, something that's been in my family, we put an all points bulletin out. We're like, this person might be outside. Please tell me if you see them. We don't do any of this for our addicts. It makes no sense to me. It's the ultimate hypocrisy that just because a family of three people want to bring a grandpa back or a mother-in-law or somebody that wandered away, or if a kid wandered away, it would be all we'd be talking about. But we have hundreds of people scattered throughout our city right now who sleep outside, and we don't care enough to get them in.
So it's not compassionate to leave them in that state. It is the exact opposite. And it's even worse when the state that they're in becomes a menace to those around them, right?
Yeah, so, they won't just hurt themselves.
So
they could hurt
everyone's
somebody
suffering, not just the addict, but people in the vicinity, neighbors, families, kids. Like, it's a cascading effect that is really detrimental to the city, and we got to change it.
I got to wrap it, Chet. About 300 people at the Mod Club last week for your first
Thank you for hosting.
event. I was happy to do it. I gave very great response to both John Burnside, Parthy Candlewood, current councillors. I thought former councillor Karen Stintz,
she was very good,
was a superstar that night as well. What's on the schedule for events coming up for your group?
Yeah, it was critically acclaimed. People came up to me over the last.
Ebert and Siskel, though they're deceased, both enjoyed it.
4 stars out of 5.
No,
people really enjoyed it because it was tough talk. It was serious talk. We didn't beat around the bushes. This is what people want to hear. And people want us to do more of these types of events. We can turn them into sort of like town halls. We can do them in each ward.
Take it on the road a bit.
Do a little road show. So, yeah, we'll likely do that next year.
Okay, where can people find your website?
Yeah, integrityto.ca, or you can find us on X or Instagram, integrity_TO.
What's the next concert you're going to? You're the only person that goes to like 10 times as many concerts as I do.
Man, it's all a blur. Well, the year's winding down. I don't know. I really... I don't know.
I missed Gowan at Massey Hall. I saw some clips. I'm like, I should have gone and saw Larry Gowan. I love that those first 2 albums are incredible.
Yeah, I saw Paul McCartney a couple weeks ago.
Okay, it's not Gowan, but I'm
still vibing off seeing The Walrus.
Thanks for coming in with us.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks for